Hi, everybody. Welcome to 6 Months Later, the podcast 180 Days in the Making, where we talk to interesting people about their lives, and then we check back in with them in 6 months, and we're like, hey, whatever happened to that guy? And then we find out. Because that's the problem with most podcasts is that you're like, whatever happened to that guy after he left the podcast? And now you don't have to listen to another podcast to find out. You find it all out in one podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Matthew Shadorn, and I am joined as always by my co-host,
Tara Newton-Wordsworth. Hello.
Hey, Tara. How are you today?
Oh my God, I'm so good. How are you, Matt?
I am all right. Did you have a good week?
Yeah. Do you know what? I have been painting my bathroom, and I feel like this is definitely the closest I've come to completely losing my mind.
Okay.
It's just the edges, like I just can't get them right, Just can't do it. But anyway, that's fine. Moving forward, I just have to let it go. I will.
Wait, what's wrong with the edges? Like, are you using tape?
I used tape, and that's why I thought they'd be all right. And then when I took the tape off, turned out sneaky little paint got through it. Yeah, there are like drip marks. It's killing me. And well, it's not. I'm fine. It's actually not a big deal. I'm trying to make it less of a big deal by, I don't know, meditating. Anyway.
But here's the thing is, and I was hoping that we could make these podcasts more interesting instead of talking about our boring lives. But let me talk to you about painter's tape for a second. I did a ton of painting in America because I used to be an apartment manager, and I don't know, I just am insane. And the blue tape that you use to paint with in America is really good. And then for some reason, the blue tape that they have here in the UK is bullshit. It has like almost no stickiness to it. And so it does make it much harder to do those edges.
Yeah.
So, but you're just going to have to let that go. This is a nation of imperfection. And
whereas America is really perfect in every way. That's what
We're
found.
Nailing it. I feel like there's nobody listening to this now, especially 6 months from now, who isn't thinking America's killing it.
Yeah.
And by it, I mean its own people and people across the world.
Oh, we're off to a great positive start yet again. Okay, on a more positive note, did my first open mic last night in, I guess, about, 7 or 8 months or whatever, since like before lockdown. And it was so nice because I've been really grateful for doing like pro gigs and stuff. But when you're being paid to do a gig, you don't feel that you can experiment too much because you obviously want to make sure people are actually laughing. So last night I literally just improv'd the entire set. I didn't write any of it. And it was the first time I've ever done that. And it was honestly so fun. Like I really felt quite excited to just let go like that. So that was experimental. And for me, I felt like that's my positive news for the week.
Where was that?
That was at the Attic in Bicester.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a nice night. I think you should do it sometime.
It used to run opposite of my open mic night, which has not restarted because there's just no space for it.
Oh, I'm gutted about that. I really want JST to come back.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Maybe in a year or so. Oh, actually, it reminds me, I need to take the event down because I had a recurring event on Facebook, and somebody messaged me the other day. I was like, "Are there spots for the open mic?" And I was like, "Ooh, I gotta delete that event." But yeah, okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad you got out there and you were trying some new stuff. That's very exciting. Yes.
Thanks, man. And what about you? How's your week been?
Good. I was on vacation.
Oh, man, you got in rather, just before they put up the ban on traveling to Wales, right?
They did. Yeah. I saw that today when I was at work and I was like, suckers. I already put my fingers all over that country. No, but I was all over Wales. Got to see the village from The Prisoner. It was very exciting. I told you about that last week. I'm still buzzing about it. Yeah, but we got to see some other fun stuff. Saw some castles, did a bit of walking, not a ton of walking. And had some fun times. And then came home and I was able to frame out my closet, which was really great. I got a bunch of lumber last week and there's some stuff I needed to do. So I had a closet, which was just like an alcove in the spare bedroom. And now it's a closet / desk. That's actually where I'm sitting right now. I'm sitting inside the closet.
Wow.
Or not inside, but it's like there's a desk. It's just a little alcove. It's fun. It's like a desk. It's like a built-in desk as well.
Listen,
working.
I think you're doing some phenomenal handiwork these days. It seems like just about constantly you're either building something or you're like hacking away at something, or that's what you were doing outside, right? You were like hacking away at something. I'm sure you were doing that.
Oh yeah, I was removing a stump a while back. Yeah, I was thinking that we need to so we've been keeping people up to date on our lives. People like 6 months, like, I wonder what's going on with that closet. It still will not be painted. I'm not much of a painter. Despite what I said before, I've kind of gone over that period in my life where I enjoy painting. But so now it's just all unfinished plywood. But in like 6 months, it'll be the same. But like I was feeling like we need to like timestamp these more. Like we need to talk more about current events, you know? So like a proof of life video, we need to like have today's headlines in here so people believe.
Today we went into a further layer of lockdown. It was revealed that Wales is going into like lockdown for 2 weeks or something, right? That was today's news.
I also found that a 2,000-year-old cat etching was found on a hillside in Peru, which I am pretty stoked about.
I don't feel like that's time stamping really today, because I don't think anyone's going to remember that news.
Oh, I was excited by it. I think people will remember. I mean, it's like, I was like, this is the internet of its time, right? Just hillsides. If you wanted people to see your cat pictures, you had to etch it into the side of a hill in Peru. And I just feel like that's timeless. Anyways.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've time stamped the podcast for like 2,500 years ago. So that's great.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm trying.
No, I'm really grateful for that. That's a really good point, I think. And also, it seems like our lives are just really mundane. So sorry about that, listeners.
It's all right. People are really keeping up with like how our houses are progressing. Like you're painting stuff, you're replacing the floors. I'm installing closets and shelves, getting the baby's room ready and all that stuff, you know. So
it's so exciting. I was thinking though, just before when we were talking about Wales, like if in 6 months' time they're like, oh yeah, that's right. In the before times when Wales still existed as a country and
before right. Well, before Wales put up that wall to keep everyone out.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see.
Any hopes for 6 months? It's going to be late. No, this is going to be mid-April.
Hopes for 6 months. I am really hoping personally to be cracking on with an Edinburgh show. I really want to be doing taking a work in progress to Leicester Comedy Festival and then to Edinburgh potentially. So it'll be nice to feel. It would be great if that was like properly, you know, had legs happening. And also obviously the thought that we will be able to have festivals again, hopefully. So we'll see if that's possible.
I was actually reading an academic paper that I'm quoted in.
Are you really?
Yeah. The intern, the quote unquote intern we had for the festival, which we actually never used the intern because we canceled the festival, is a graduate student in event management or event planning, something like that. And she wrote a thesis on like how COVID is affecting festivals and things, and some festivals going digital, and we just canceled our festival. But anyways, it just made me like think about festivals and wanting to be like, I'd really like to get Oxford Comedy Festival going again. Hopefully that will be a thing. Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I read the academic paper. Mostly I just did a find for my own name to see where all the places where I was cited. And you know what? I've got some pretty good quotes.
Wow. Sounds like a really interesting article there. Definitely check it out and just search for Matt's name.
Don't search for my name. I forget what it is. In 6 months I'll remember and then I'll tell you. You guys look it up. Anyways, do you want to get to our guest?
Yes, please.
Who's our guest today?
We are talking to the phenomenal Alice Marshall. I'm so excited to talk to her. She's an amazing comic and actress. Yeah, a dear friend of mine. So I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, it's exciting. Let's get to it. Please welcome to the show award-winning comedian Alice Marshall. Hello, Alice. How you doing today?
Hello. I'm very well. Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, not at all. Glad
so nice to see you. How are you? Like, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? My God, what a boring question.
Well, thanks for coming, Alice. It's been a real pleasure.
Thanks, guys. It's been dull.
Wow. Hey, please remember to rate and review on 5 stars. Extremely dull. Really good to get to sleep to.
I just feel like I'm really allergic to that question because it's what, like, if you ever go in for like a general audition, that's the first thing they ask you, and it's where I tend to go, oh, just missing. And then it goes badly.
Fine. What happens? What do you think happens after we die?
Oh my God. I'm in. I'm back in.
Okay, good.
Fuck all. Oh, can I swear? Oh, I've already sworn.
No, that's fine. Don't worry about it.
You can swear. It's fine. This is not going out, hopefully, to children.
Children should not. Some of our earlier guests should not ever never be heard by children.
So, okay, so you don't want to talk about what you've been up to.
No, I do. I just had to point out that it was a predictable question. I am also Tara, you've hit a nerve because the answer is nothing.
But that's fine. That's what this podcast is all about, because we want to hear what people are up to in lockdown, and then in 6 months' time, what people are up to in lockdown. It's going to be great.
I'm so optimistic about the future.
If I can get over my like deep shame about the fact that I'm doing nothing, I feel like me is still kind of holding on to that like quite like early lockdown vibe of like being really cool with it and baking shit and like
you're still
doing nothing. I'm holding on to that vibe. I'm not actually baking, but like you know, that kind of like quite frumpy.
I think we all gave up on baking in July, right?
Yeah, I'm not actually fucking doing it, but I'm just feeling like I am and feeling quite zen.
I literally bake every day or every 2 days. But
yeah, but you're a mum. That's allowed.
Yeah.
That's
well,
allowed.
yeah. I mean, I feel like I was being called sexist earlier for calling you an actress. But anyway, no worries. But you're a mum. Of course you bake. All mums bake. That's what you do.
That's what mums do, isn't it?
Okay, I feel like we've got off to a rocky start. Okay, you crack on. You're in your baking vibe, but not baking.
Well, no, I feel like only half of me is in that vibe, because now with every week that passes, the kind of like chasm of white hot raging fear is kind of like gripping me more and more every day. So it's gradually edging out the zen.
Wow.
Every day the fear is becoming more and more kind of prescient and terrifying.
What is the fear? The fear of what though?
Oh, I mean, general corona-based anxiety. Is this the end of the world? Probs. What's happened to our industry? Is it ever coming back? Do I even fucking want it to? Is a whole other thing. Is this the end of the world? I think maybe might summarize it properly. Like, and I just feel that becomes, this stopped being like dog in the playground. Oh my God, we all have to stay at home and it's really awful, but at least we're spending more time with our families stuff. That's long gone now.
So you're just sick of your family.
I'm sick of everything. I mean, this is no longer fun in any way.
So you have some existential dread that you're dealing with because we all live in the twilight of humanity.
That's exactly nail on the head, mate. Nail on the head.
But other than that,
I mean, I feel like
to the club. There's 7 billion of us.
It's awesome.
I because I saw you. Obviously, you very kindly had me to stay, which was lovely and such a much needed relief. But anyway, you seemed in quite a positive place when I saw you.
I am chasm much below the surface, so like I'm kind of able to function on my day-to-day basis. Like, I've got nothing to do, so I'll do some yoga, and that's fun because everyone's relaxed now. But then, like, it's really not far beneath quite a kind of thin ice of that lies the monster.
Okay. I mean, isn't that how everybody is all the time?
Yeah, do you know what? Maybe it's just no different to how it was 5 years ago, and now maybe it's quite nice because everyone feels the same.
I feel like you said you were feeling bad because you weren't doing anything, but then again, it's like this is the one time you can feel perfectly fine about not doing anything because all the industry, like comedy and acting and whatever, like all these whatever nonsense you do. Sorry, I don't want to say whatever. It's the one time where it's like, well, if like I hadn't gone and done sets for a while, like if I was just like lazy, then I would have felt bad. But it's like, well, now I've got a good excuse. There's just, if I go out and get sets, I could die. So
yeah.
Isn't that the case for every comic though?
One thing I find though with you, Alice, is you always seem to think you're not doing anything, but then I'll be like, oh, a BBC sketch with Alice in it. That's so funny because she said she wasn't doing anything. Oh, she's on Comedy Central with her characters. Oh, she's just submitted a pilot. Oh, so I feel like you're like you're one of those people that's like exceptionally harsh on yourself, but actually you're probably doing more than most people in the industry, if you know what I mean.
Laura, you can stay because you make me feel good.
What did I do?
Praise me more.
Wow, that's a nice headband.
Thank you. I'm really painting myself out like I should be section, and
Right.
I'm really fine.
The fact that you say that you're fine so much really lets us believe, that you're really fine.
Please don't section me. I'm so poor.
That is not within our power, so don't worry about it.
Okay, so I feel like quite a big part. Matt was literally just saying we're meant to timestamp this now. This is a new thing that we're doing.
I didn't say we have to. I'm just saying like it might be fun.
You did, and then you got angry, and then you were yelling. It wasn't.
I wasn't.
Is
this how it is to be a woman? It's like you were hysterical.
You were hysterical. I didn't even raise my voice. Okay, so basically, timestamping this. Where are we?
We could actually say the date. It's October 19th. That would also timestamp it.
Oh, it's my son's birthday tomorrow.
Yay!
Of course it is.
Yeah, I say that as though I just remembered, and it's like, God, I haven't got him anything. I baked a moon
because you're a
cake.
baker. We've already established.
Yeah, so it was very easy.
And she's a mom.
You just say you baked a cake. I mean, it was like the daily cake that you bake every day.
What I bake every day actually is chocolate chip cookies that are made with almond flour and chocolate that I've made myself because it's sugar free. Yeah, no, I made a moon cake, as in not a moon cake, as in I think, are they traditionally Chinese moon cakes? I believe they are. But anyway, not that kind of moon cake. It was a moon cake that was a cake of a moon, and we're putting a spaceman on top and a rocket. He's obsessed with spaceman. The other day, instead of watching cartoons in the morning, he just wanted to watch Apollo 11, the moon landing, like literally like 5 times in a row. And then we watched Apollo 17, a documentary.
Have you showed him the documentary that I showed you?
No,
space?
but I was thinking he would love that. I couldn't remember the name of it, but it was so good. What
For
was
All
it
Mankind.
again? Oh, okay, yeah, he'll definitely love that.
What movie did you screen?
It's called For All Mankind. It's a documentary about the space program.
Right up my street.
Yeah, it's all just like NASA footage.
Mate.
And then like a very relaxing Brian Eno ambient soundtrack behind it all. So
I feel really like affronted that I haven't seen this.
It's really good.
Sounds amazing.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah, and I loved watching the bit where they were like jumping about on the moon, when they sort of tripped over a bit. And I was looking at the moon, and I was just like, God, it's crazy that people have been there. Like when you look at it, it's really surreal.
I find it really weird that in all of humanity, only 12 people have ever been there. There's a very exact number of people who've been on the moon, and it's I just find that. Are
you a firm believer in 12?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's some ancient alien documentaries that have made me think maybe otherwise, but
I'm an obsessive Kubrick fan. I'm not a I mean, look at my. You can't see this, but my jumper is a Shining.
Oh, The Shining. Nice.
I really, really want to be a conspiracy theorist. I think it would be so fun to be one, but I just can't make myself believe it, which is sad.
I used to think conspiracy theories were really fun, and then in the last few years, they became a horrible symptom of our endless hellscape, where all the conspiracy theories stopped being fun, and now they're all about like Democrats are kidnapping children and then murdering them for a drug which gives them immortality. And I'm like, come on, guys.
Can you please make the name of your new Edinburgh show Endless Hellscape? I think that's such a good title.
It's not bad. Yeah, I'm surprised that one's probably already been taken. There's probably 10 shows called Endless Hellscape. People are going to be doing next year. But
yeah, I don't know, the 12 thing is interesting.
Well, there are people out there who will say it's 0.
Right.
So there are people out there who think it wasn't just Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin who didn't go. People out there think nobody been, which is like a whole other level of a massive thing to think.
Have you ever seen the footage of Buzz Aldrin punching a guy who like so like there's footage of Buzz Aldrin like just coming out of a hotel or something, and some guy's like, why are you lying to us about the moon? Why won't you tell us the truth that the moon landing is fake? And then Buzz Aldrin just hauls off and clocks him.
Incredible. I mean,
it's like, yeah, it's fair.
If I'd been to the fucking moon and there were people saying you didn't go, I would hit them. So I get it. I do get it.
But here's the thing about not going to the moon is at this point
no, that's the new Edinburgh show title.
Here's the thing about not going to the moon. And it's just me in like a spaceman outfit, just with my hands up like, I don't know, shrugging my shoulders. Here's the thing about not going to the moon is at this point, if NASA just came out tomorrow and said, we've never been to the moon, I feel like we'd all be really impressed.
at the magnitude of the lie.
Yeah, they're like, wow, you know what? You had us going, you know what? I'm not even mad at you, NASA. I'm not even like, you know what? At this point, I feel like it would have been cheaper to go to the moon. Do you believe in a flat Earth?
No, but again, I wish I did, because I feel like it would make me so much more interesting. If
you know what? I feel like it wouldn't. I feel like it would make you so much more unbearable. The few people I know who are like
more unbearable.
Yeah, I take
really,
it.
and again, can I just say more unbearable? I feel like I didn't really give the more the emphasis. Sorry, I think it would just make you unbearable. Like, because the people I know who are conspiracy theories, you just have to like walk away from them because they're just because the problem is if you start to believe one conspiracy theory, then suddenly you're believing every conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
This is like, and this isn't even like my opinion. This is like a thing that happens. Like once you start heading down that rabbit hole, like you just become crazier and crazier and crazier until there's like no getting you out anymore. You're just like, so yeah, you know, it starts out with like the moon landing's fake, and then the next thing you know, you're shooting up a pizza parlor in DC or some shit. Like you just
Yeah.
Anyways, Alice, I feel like we've gotten off track because we're here to talk about you.
I'm just watching. I'm watching you guys.
Sorry, Alice. We got to get to some of our important questions, Matt.
Alice, so these days you're just hanging out at home. You're not doing work.
Well,
or are you working? Or are you like working on
this is a classic
writing and things?
example of Tara being completely correct, which is that I had a spurt about like 6 weeks ago of being quite busy and doing some nice stuff and doing a bit of telly and feeling like, oh, maybe it's coming back. Maybe it's all okay. And then when that stopped, it just ground to a grinding halt once again. So that I feel like it was even maybe like more cruel because it was like the world going, look, have a job, have 3 jobs, and then none ever again. And I was like, oh, great. Right. So I am doing I'm featuring in a documentary that Irving Welsh, who you will know from Train Spotting fame, is making for Sky Arts. And it's all about causing offence, called Offended with Irving Welsh. And I play a character. She's not one of my characters, but I play her as purely as an actor who's caused a lot of offence. Just kind of doing some stuff with him on that topic about, you know, should we be able to cause offence in the arts? Should we be restricted by what we can say for fear of possibly causing offence to some people but not others, etc., etc. So it was quite a heavy topic to engage with and to kind of like do properly. But I think we did do it properly.
Wait, were you like dramatizing offensive situations, or were you like reenacting historical offensive situations, or
a bit of both? Actually, it's a really cool documentary.
Is it like, it's not like PC Gone Mad kind of?
No, not even. It's very much about it's about the artist's voice, and it's not and it's completely down the middle. It's not arguing one thing or another. It's literally just kind of like debating and discussing the idea of restricting the artist's voice and the good and bad things come out of that. So it was really interesting.
Yeah,
that's so good. That's so exciting. And also, can you talk a little bit about playing Titania McGrath, and also whether you're going to be playing her again?
I'm sorry, what is this? I don't know what this is.
So, well, Alice, you should you should say this. Yeah.
Why do we have a guest?
The character on Twitter called Titania McGrath. But I played a kind of human version of her. And then we did a show in Edinburgh last year, like a kind of fake TED talk that I did as well.
It's really funny. Really
that
bloody
sounds really fun,
brilliant. But you were going to be touring a show of hers, which was very exciting.
Yep.
And what's happened there?
So it's been rescheduled for March next year. And that's all we know. I mean, we can cross our fingers and hope that it will happen in some capacity. Who fucking knows? Like, it's so hard to plan beyond a week, let alone, into next year. I'm hoping and praying that it will happen. If it doesn't happen then, I think it will happen later. And if it doesn't happen then maybe it's because we're all dead.
Right.
Kind of seems less important.
Yeah. But also you have your own show as well, which you were meant to be doing at Edinburgh this year, and that was cancelled. Edinburgh, not your show. But
you were cancelled.
So are you going to be taking that, like, as in, will you be doing that next year?
I guess so. I mean, like, who knows? Yeah, I would love to do it. I'd love to do my show in Edinburgh next year. It was weird because I had my first preview of the show, as I hope it will be, booked on the 19th of March, which was like 3 days before everything.
Right.
So I did that preview to like 6 of my very kind friends who came out, despite the fact that it was like possibly 28 days later. winter outside, but out they came to see my stupid show. And I thought it went better than I felt it might. And at that point, Edinburgh looked like it was still possibly on the cards. So I still had that, that kind of drive that you only get from a really terrifying deadline. I still had that in March. I was like, oh God, you've got to get it right or everyone will be horrible to you. So I was like, like really, really, really trying. And then as soon as Edinburgh was pulled and we had this kind of like vast expanse of time stretching ahead of us, my first thought was like, right, make your show better because you have time now and you can work on it and can fix all the little niggly bits that you never normally fix. But instead what I did is fuck all. I haven't really touched it since March because I need a deadline. So I feel like what I will actually do is wait until we definitively know whether or not Edinburgh is happening, which probably won't be until like July the 29th. And then it's happening in 2 days. And then I'll
throw something together. Quick show of costume. Right.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. Just off of fear. It's great.
Yeah. No, yeah. I used to run a show in America where I had a different theme every week. So I had to write a completely different, like with a group of other comedians. So everybody'd have an assignment. So there'd be an assignment and it worked really well. And it worked really well for my creative style.
Sounds a bit like news review, Tara. Certainly like definitely how I got my start. I feel like you were way more established than I was when you did news review, I feel, Tara. Like you'd had way more experience doing comedy. Like your time in New York and...
Well, not really, because when I did the comedy in New York, I literally only did, I don't know, like probably I would say only eight or so gigs. Like I really didn't do many. I literally just tried it a few times and while it was going well, it was like great. And then the second I had a bad gig, I just couldn't take it. I was just like a ball of anxiety and didn't do it again for years. So I haven't, it was one of those weird things where like if someone was like, oh, you've been doing stand up since this time, I would feel horrendously bad because I'm not in any way good enough to have been doing it that long. However, I think that I don't look at it as that. I look at it like I actually properly started gigging regularly at Matt's gig, the open mic in Oxford, when Charlie was about 7 months old. So it was like July 2018 that I consider that when I started doing stand up properly.
Wow.
But anyway, I think, but news review was definitely a start for me as well over here particularly. And it was funny because we got started around the same time really in news review and became friends through news review.
Yeah. But I think it's similar to what you were saying, Matt, about like having an assignment and having someone say to you, right, this week, as in news review, you are satirizing the previous week's view. So into groups and write sketches and we'll do them on Thursday. And it's just very much like, it's so supportive, it's so collaborative in terms of writing and performing. Because it's nice to be on stage with 3 other people. You kind of feel like you have a bit of a safety net. If you fuck up, then, point.
Do you miss that?
Yeah, massively. I miss that hugely. I really think like, I've been lucky to do some really fun jobs, but I do sometimes look back in news review and I'm like, I don't know if I've ever had that much fun. I think I've been lucky with the casts that I've worked with on news review. I've done it 4 times now, I think. And it's every time I've just met people who've ended up being lifelong friends. Thus far, who knows how long I'll live. Like, life tomorrow, lifelong.
Yeah. But then they're still lifelong if you die tomorrow. So
yeah.
Yeah. I just want to apologize, Alice. I feel like this has been the most weird, like we've been so like off on tangents. It's just, I don't know why. I think it's because you're my friend. I feel much more relaxed than normal.
Listening to you. You're great.
No, I think it's fine.
Oh, thank you. That's kind of you. Well, and also I'm just feeling quite tired because
you're a mom.
It's
been a long day of baking.
I did an open mic last night and didn't get home till late and then have been up early. But yeah, we were talking about news review and working in groups and you were talking about, why were you talking about that again? Because I had inspiration and like art.
Yeah,
sorry.
Feeling like you have I described it recently as the nursery slopes of comedy, and I think that it's really nice to be able to do that rather than to just like shove yourself on an open mic night having never done it before. Hats off to people who can do that. I think that's remarkable.
Yeah. Have you been doing gigs since sort of lockdown has eased?
I've done only online. I've probably done 5 online gigs.
How did you find them?
Great, because you get no feedback. So like if I'm dying, I have no idea. I just carry on blissfully in the silence. And actually the silence is meant to be there. So it's great. My self-esteem has been in better shape since lockdown than it ever was.
Are you doing like an array of characters or just one character?
I'm doing, so one of my newer characters is she's like a Southern American budget wedding planner. And it works quite well on a Zoom gig because the setup is that she is addressing her staff the night before a really big wedding. So it's like a pre-event briefing, and all the participants play the stuff, whether they like it or not. But that's been really fun, and it's been kind of interesting adapting work to make it more online friendly. And I think I've done it a little bit.
Right. Do you feel like it's probably easier with like character-based work? Because you're primarily a character-based comedian.
Yeah, I'm live. I only do character stuff. I think it's weird because if you go and do, like, say for instance, you go and do a pre-COVID normal live gig, and as I have found myself more times than I would care to admit on a bill with like proper straight down the line punchline gag stand-ups, and they're brilliant, and I admire what they do, and I could never do it. So then when I get up in my weird costume, like dressed as a fucking clown or an air princess or whatever, you get this moment of like, you feel it from the audience. It's tangible. And they either go, what the fuck is this?
Right.
Weird, I'm out. Or they go, oh, good, it's a different thing. I like this thing. Oh, okay. And it's never, ever anywhere in between. So you know immediately the first 10 seconds that you stand up, you know what kind of a time you're going to have. So I think the risk you run is greater. But, but the reward can be quite nice, because sometimes even if you have a night that you think actually would be fairly average anywhere else, if they're in the latter camp and they like you just because you're in a stupid costume, you kind of have a nice time anyway. So it's kind of it's a tricky one. I can't remember what the question was.
If you find character-based comedy, like if it works well, you think better over it, or if it works.
Online.
I feel like. Well, go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, because online it's kind of different, because you don't get to experience that tangible reaction from the audience, because you don't know what they think, because you can't hear it. So that's kind of weird. You don't wait for that moment of either relief or panic. It's just kind of like, which I quite enjoy.
Hey, did you want to do any of your new character?
No.
That's absolutely fine. I'm sorry to have put you in that position, and I'll just cut that out.
No, wait, I had. So this is good, because I was actually today. I had an idea for a character, and maybe you can help me with this, because maybe I think it needs a woman's touch. The character is called the Low Tide Bride. That's as far as I've gotten.
What does that mean?
It's just a low tide bride. I just thought that was funny, and then I was trying to find a character that matched it.
What does that mean, though?
You know how there are tides, right?
Yeah.
In the ocean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is the low tide bride.
I really love it.
As in, like, she's only able to be a bride when the tide's out or something like that?
Maybe that's it. Maybe she exists in the shallows near the ocean, and then you only see her when the tide is low, and she's in love with a lonely fisherman,
Is she like a ghost bride?
Maybe.
Is that what this is?
Or like a mermaid?
Oh, yeah.
I think
it sounds more like a kind of Henry James novella. I think maybe you should go and write this, and actually it means something about, I don't know, feminism.
Feminism.
Oh, fucking
something about the patriarchy, like the tides or something, empowerment. I don't know.
You know what? I tell you, actually, one thing that has got me through lockdown is I'm generally obsessed with TV anyway, to quite an alarmingly enthusiastic level. But I've always loved wedding dress shows. You know the ones I'm talking about, right? Like they're on like TLC and Red Quest Banana Channel, like those, like they're high up in the channel numbers, but you got to work to get there. But when you get there, it's always a wedding dress show, and I can't get enough of them. I find them addictive. So over lockdown, I would happily watch like 4 in a row. And my partner once came in the room and he was like, "What the fuck are you watching?"
Right.
and I couldn't explain it. I couldn't get the words. So I just went, just women. And I felt like that summed it up pretty well. Just women.
And then he just backed out of the room.
Like, you wouldn't understand, you man. And then he went back to painting your toenails.
He did actually say, he was like, "Oh, but they're all white dresses. What's the difference?" And I was like, "Get out!"
You were right to be angry. That's a dumb thing to say.
It is a dumb thing to say.
Why you just pick the first? Like, that one's fine. Like, that's a tracksuit. I don't know.
No, his princess is from his sweetheart. That's for sure.
Disappointing.
Yeah, what are they all have? Is that like don't tell the bride or don't mess with the dress or I don't know.
I feel like you know a lot about these shows.
I don't know.
Matt.
No, my wife was obsessed with Don't Tell the Bride.
That's a great show.
And it sounded like a terrible premise for a show.
Honestly, the casting must be the most fun job ever because they just find the biggest idiots in the world. They'll get a couple and they give the groom £12,000 to go and make the wedding, but the bride has no idea what he's doing.
Right.
And they do these little like piece to cameras at the top of the show where they interview them separately. And this is the case in 100% of the episode. The bride to be will be sitting in her nice bedroom and she'll say, well, I'm really traditional and I want a really romantic ceremony and I love churches and I'd like a white dress. And then they go to the groom and the groom says, right, I'm going to do it in a zoo and she's going to wear pink flamingo suit and we're going to go whitewater rafting afterwards.
Right.
Like, it's unbelievable. Every episode. It's amazing.
Instead of a limo, monster truck.
And then are the brides really upset?
Always, 100%. There are annoying episodes where the brides are like, oh, actually, it's really fun. And I want to be like, no, it's not. It's a travesty. Be angrier.
Oh, I've never watched this.
This is TV at its finest, where the groom spends the entire budget on a stag do to Vegas.
No.
And then he saved like just enough to fly the bride and her mum out and no one else. And it ends at the airport and she's like, I'm not fucking coming. We're breaking up. It's over. How have you done this? And then it cuts to him in his hotel room in Vegas crying, being like, oh no. What did you expect? What did you expect?
So wait, he's going to fly her and her mom out to Vegas, a place that he is at a stag do with. So presumably all of his friends are already there. So it would be a wedding of all of his friends and his mother-in-law. And that's it. That would be the entire guest.
And that's it.
That's madness. That man is insane. He deserves to be single.
He does. Do you know what? Annoyingly, I think it works out. And I'm like, well, you deserve each other then.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Anyway, Alice.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I feel like we just keep going off on other things and you're just there like, oh, that's nice.
Fine,
That's great, guys.
Do I need to be here for this or I'm going to pop out, get another cup of tea? But
we should probably ask you about the future before we get going. So
are we not going yet? Wow.
What?
Are we not going yet?
No.
As in,
all right, now just warm up.
Get going is in like leaving. It's
no, but you said in 6 months you're expecting to be doing previews again.
Well, I mean, it's tough. It's tough. There is a thing on the card that I can't say anything about, which is really helpful for a podcast. Yeah, there's a thing that may be happening.
If you're allowed, because we could, the thing is, you could talk about it, because this isn't coming out for 6 months. You could talk about it and then we can just cut it out if you're not allowed to talk about it.
No, because I feel like if I say it, I'll be in trouble and also it won't happen.
You think it jinx it?
Okay.
All right, we don't want to jinx it. Then.
Absolutely fine.
Like, it might be an interesting thing because in 6 months, like I say, there are 3 possibilities. It hasn't happened and I've ceased to exist. It has happened and that's great and fuck you guys.
What? So either way, you're not doing the second half of this interview because you'll have either ended your own life or be in a mental institution, or you'll just be too big for us and you'll be like, fuck you guys, your piddly little podcast.
Or do you know what? In classic showbiz land, what will probably happen, and if I was a betting man, this is what I would put money on.
Mm-hmm.
I'll still be unsure and in limbo, and it will still be bouncing back and forth, and people going, yeah, maybe, but no, but so I'll still be in this horrible, like, halfway state. I'm sure that is what will happen. That's my experience of the industry thus far.
Showbiz.
So who frickin' knows? Who frickin' knows, man?
Right. All right. So it sounds like you got high hopes for your personal life in 6 months. Any big swing predictions for the world in 6 months?
Oh, so I thought about this, right, in some detail.
Thank you for doing that. A lot of people don't.
Because I have time on my hands. And this is genuine, right? So, Lidl.
The supermarket chain.
The supermarket chain.
All
Have you Have you been in a Lidl?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know the middle aisle.
The
Do you know
middle
this
little
thing?
or the little
The
middle?
middle Lidl. Well, that's what it's called now. So for anyone who's never been in a Lidl, first of all, go to one because it's amazing. And right, so the middle aisle, it doesn't contain food. Lidl is a supermarket, right? But the middle aisle is a kind of like nether zone of bizarre bric-a-brac. It's like a jumble sale that's kind of been washed. It's amazing. And like the stuff that they sell is completely nonsense. Like there's no order to it.
Right.
Anything. It'll be like toilet brushes, makeup, miniature hedgehogs, and a tent. Like
Right.
and then there'll be just one tent. Like, and when it's gone, it's gone. It's never coming back. You either got the tent or you didn't. And I never really used to pay that much attention to it pre-lockdown because just had less time.
You had
just
a life.
go in and get your food and leave. I have life. But then when we started being able to go to supermarkets again, I was like, oh, the daily trip to Lidl. This is so exciting. So I'd make a real event out of it, and I would
Right.
browse the middle aisle and be like, there's some interesting shit here. This is really cool. So I'd
Mhm.
look at the toilet brushes and the hedgehogs and whatever. But then quite quickly, the novelty like just wore off and I was really unimpressed. So I'd be like, yeah, it's a power drill. I've seen one before. I'm going to go. But then I feel like Lidl have cottoned on to the fact that people are now becoming desensitized to how weird it is. So
Mhm.
they're making it weirder. And this is definitely a thing. I feel like if I've noticed this, there must have been other people who've noticed this. The other day I went in and I shit you not, like one whole section of the middle aisle was filled with miniature wooden owls and cats.
Okay.
And they had these weird like LED lights in their eyes. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, well, maybe they're to scare cats away from your garden or whatever. No, they're just decorative. And the label was decorative animal. It's like, this
Was
is
decorative in quote.
decorative animal. They're
Right.
honestly, their adjectives are amazing. And they always put them in quote marks, I think to cover their back. So if you question them, be like, I don't think this is decorative. And they'll be like, well, it's a hypothesis. So, you know,
It's purely theoretically decorative.
so my prediction is that this is a thing Lidl are doing. They're making it weirder to keep people interested. And I predict that in 6 months, we're going to be seeing some fucking fucked up shit in that
All right.
middle.
Well, you keep a journal of your journey.
I
to
will.
Lidl,
I will get back to you.
and let us know. So this is the kind of conspiracy theory I think you should be getting into. This is like a very harmless conspiracy theory that Lidl is trying to increase the high strangeness of people's lives.
Yeah.
Just by increasing like
Because people have got more time to think about their houses now because we're in them more. And I feel
Right.
like we're kind of, you know, like nudge theory. Have you heard of nudge theory?
yes.
So it's like, I think it's nudging people towards being crazy and like being okay with that. Like you can be the person who has like an animal menagerie made of forks and sponges and people won't be worried. People will just be like, cool, I wish I had one.
Right.
Well, you can go to Lidl and you can buy one.
This is that
Oh my
is
God.
amazing. Well, Alice, we're not going to say goodbye to you because through the miracle of editing, we are going to continue this conversation in 6 months. But we do ask our guests we have a challenge for them, which is that we want you to start a joke that you do not know how it will end, and then we will edit it together with the ending of the joke in 6 months.
This is so fun. What an
Okay.
amazing
Oh,
idea.
that's good. We get mixed reactions to this, so
No,
I'm glad you find it fun.
Anyone who doesn't think that's a great idea is a fucking idiot. That's great.
I
Wow.
will send out some email. So what do you got?
I think of it now.
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
you have
but
10
you
seconds to
can
think of a
have
setup
have
and
a
6
few
months to think of a
seconds.
punchline.
Yeah, you could think for a bit. A
Yeah.
lot of people have that look of real anger when we say it. Like, you didn't tell us about
Should I just do it?
Yeah, just do
Yes.
it.
Okay. Do you know what I hate? Punchlines.
I love that. I don't know why you said I would hate that. That's brilliant.
I'm going to say I hate
Fine.
it.
I think it's really good.
Fine. I thought you were going to be like, you know what I hate? Myself. And then just crying.
I think punchlines is good.
That would have been... Punchlines is good. Alice, how have you been the last 6 months? What's been going
Yeah,
on?
I feel like I've been good. I feel like the word better is appropriate, given that I have listened to our recording from 6 months ago, and I found it alarming. Like,
Really?
Wow.
yeah. I mean, I obviously had no idea at the time, but I think I was a woman on the verge of a nervous breakdown. It was kind of like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I feel like I was very much in in a different place 6 months ago. I'm kind of like manic and almost quite sort of like, quite frenetic in how bored I am. Like I'm aware that I talk an awful lot about doing nothing, but in quite a kind of like high-speed, frenzied way. So I think I've come to the conclusion that being bored and having nothing to do is no good for me whatsoever, because it sends me crazy. So I think now that I'm busier, I mean, Matthew, you sort of implied that I was unbearable, and you are quite correct.
I didn't say that was a joke.
Well,
it
came from somewhere.
It seems like, so you're saying you're saying that, you're like one of those like working dogs, and if you don't have something to do, then you're just chewing on the furniture. And
you got to have sheep to round up,
peeing
basically.
Everywhere. Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I was a million miles away from chewing the furniture, actually. Like, it really was, dark times. So I'm happy to be better.
I'm glad that you're better. Now, you say that you sounded like a woman on the verge. You're on the nerve of a nervous breakdown. On the verge of a nervous breakdown. Did you have that breakdown, or were you able to divert it? Did you? Or...
Do you know what? I think I did, and I think that listening to the first half of this podcast, people can witness it happening in real time. I approached a moment where I thought this is no good, and I think it's something that I've talked to Tara quite a lot about. The fact that I'm having quite a lot of therapy and have had quite a lot of therapy since that time. And I'm a real advocate for it. I think it's amazing. So I did hit a point where I was like, I'm really sad and anxious all the time, and I don't think this is about COVID anymore or being bored anymore. So guys, go and freaking talk to someone, because it really, really helped. So that actually has been 6 months. So I think it was probably like a week after we recorded the podcast, I was like, I'm unwell. So...
Okay.
Do you know what's so funny is
That's good.
I remember we had a Zoom call after it must have been about 3 months ago. So I think you must have been having, you must have had quite a few therapy sessions. And I got off that Zoom call and was like, whoa, like Alice is really chilled. As in, like, she just seems like really, like, I don't know, scented. I felt really unscented after, like, as in I felt like I got to get myself more scented, because you just seemed really, I don't know, just great, well, and I'm so happy for you. And I think I feel the exact same way. I've had loads of therapy too, and I feel 1,000 times better for having it. Although I'm trying to get out of it now, and I'm sort of having to broach that with my therapist of being like, I think I'm actually okay. And he sort of feels like, yeah, maybe, I guess. Maybe not.
Like, no, is your therapist like, are you sure? Because that's not the vibe I'm
kind
getting.
of like, well, if you feel like that, then if that's what you want to do, and it's like, okay, but what do you think?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, we'll see.
Is he like, did you get you got a degree in psychology? Oh, you have a doctorate now, so you understand that you're better. Great. Oh, then why am I even here?
That's how it's feeling. But Alice, I'm so thrilled to hear that, and I'm really excited to talk to you again. And also, I was wondering, are you able to tell us your thing that you couldn't talk about now, or is that not allowed to be talked about still?
So do you know what? I feel really smug in that I said that if I had to bet on one of the 3 possible outcomes, which was that it didn't happen, it happened, or I was still in limbo, I'd bet limbo. And I'm still in limbo. So that was correct.
No.
So it's still just in the ether being pushed around by various people to different various people. But one thing has changed, which is that I've got to a point now where it's totally out of my hands. So other people are making decisions, and that will go on until I'm 95 years old. And then maybe we'll know.
So you still can't tell us anything about that, I'm assuming.
No.
Well, that's made some really interesting and exciting audio content.
Guys, this is going to be
here's
riveting.
what I want to know about. I want to know if you've been keeping track of what's been going on at your local Lidl.
Yeah.
Certainly
and if
have.
that has gotten progressively
Has
weirder.
it got sinister?
And I don't know if this was a thing before. Correct me if it is, or if you've heard of this, but my local Lidl have literally just in the last month put up these new signs, which are like above the kind of crazy jumble sale aisle and underneath it. And it says the middle of Lidl. So it's like a thing now.
Oh.
It's a gimmick. And it might have existed before, but certainly for me, this is really new. The middle of Lidl. And
actually, I'm going to confess, I sold that idea to Lidl for quite a bit of money. after the first podcast, so sorry to cut you guys out, but those are the
I
breaks.
feel like you should have definitely allowed Alice in on that, but that's fine.
Do you know what?
Sorry.
It doesn't matter because I found so much peace and happiness from the middle of Little that I will just take
Right.
it. And it hasn't become sinister, but it's become super like mechanical. So the ornamental hedgehogs and like kind of tiny ceramic demons have gone. But it's like bits of car engines, lots of oil, like working lights, nuts, bolts, screws, and then makeup.
Do you feel like, is it getting prophetic? It's like, so you're going to need all these car parts when you're just driving down the Fury Road,
Yeah.
you know, trying to save your life from marauders.
They know,
and you also want...
they know that Mad Max is coming, right? They know that.
I always feel
it's
like I
kind of
do want to buy that stuff
hint.
though. As in I'm every time I'm in the middle and I see a chainsaw, I'm like, maybe I do want a chainsaw. Like I have no idea what I would use a chainsaw for, but I feel like it's just such a good deal.
Tara, as somebody who's used a chainsaw before, let me say you definitely would want a chainsaw.
Yeah, I feel like it would really
They're just
make me
great.
feel awesome about my life, like even more awesome than therapy.
Yeah.
What have you used a chainsaw for, Matthew? I really want to know.
I feel like it's just going to be like,
wood. Like, what do you think? What am I going to use it on? Boy, use it on wood.
oh, that's a relief.
Oh,
Use it to chopping logs or something.
not people.
Not the Texas
Not
Chainsaw
people, no, this is
Massacre.
not some-
I was
yes, this is
going to
not some
say
Leatherface scenario.
that's what I historically associate chainsaws with. It is kind of mass murder, so that's good that they're used for other things.
It turns out that at least 30% of the time they're used on wood.
Wow,
That's beautiful.
who knew?
Yeah.
So you've okay. Sorry, were you saying other crazy stuff that's in the middle? I think I cut you off, Alice.
No, I think it was just like, yeah, so it's either kind of like super mechanical prepping us for Mad Max or a tiny little shelf of makeup. And that's kind of kind of it.
So
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
put on your war paint for Mad,
yeah.
you know, when you're on the Fury Road.
Yeah.
Again.
So it's like it's less entertaining, but the message has definitely gotten stronger and more sinister.
They're like, learn a skill. You will.
I haven't been shopping there recently because I've gone back to Tesco. Like I feel really posh again. Like because we used to shop at Tesco.
Who do you think you are?
And then we started shopping at Lidl to
Whoa.
save money. And now I'm just like, no, I'm back at Tesco. And, you know, it's amazing. Like, you can actually get, like, decent stuff at Tesco. I'm not saying... I don't want to sound like a snob, which I totally do, but I feel like the quality is definitely better of the food and stuff.
You don't want to sound like a snob because you shop at Tesco.
It's not Waitrose.
I think that's fine. I mean, when you're driving to Tesco, do you drive past the Sainsbury's and you're like, someday, baby, that's going to be us in that parking lot.
I don't like Sainsbury's. I just think it's unnecessarily expensive for like essentially the same as Tesco. Maybe that's how people at Lidl feel. Regardless, I don't want to cast judgment to all the little people. Okay, we're cutting that out.
All right. Well, it was nice that you came on for our final episode, Alice. I'm just going to stop recording here. So the projects you were working on for the last 6 months, how is your show, your wedding planner show? Have you been doing that at all?
So that's kind of taken a back seat, I think, just because the various fringes, so for me it's usually Brighton and then Edinburgh, are not, they're not my journey this year, sadly, I think, just because...
Really? You're not doing Brighton?
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
Because when I spoke to you last, you hadn't made the decision yet.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be very, very outdoorsy this year. I've spoken to the organisers and they're doing an amazing job, and like honestly, it's going to be incredible. They're kind of making them two really brilliant kind of outdoor spaces. The program's going to be amazing. It's loads of really kind of like fun stuff. So obviously go. Like it's still happening. I'm going to go. I think the Brighton Fringe is amazing, but it just doesn't lend itself very well to the stuff that I do because I use a lot of projections. I work with videos a lot, and a lot of stuff that I do is quite kind of quiet. So I think in the middle of a Brighton skate park is not necessarily the place to start doing some kind of weird silent clown stuff. Don't know how that would go down. So
Yeah. Do they get the skaters out before they start the shows, or do you just have skaters like zipping past?
no, I think it's just like that's how the youth work these days. I've been led to believe that it's all just like one massive hodgepodge of kind of people having fun. It's kind of alien to me, but whatever, it sounds good. So yeah, no Brighton, and I think the same for Edinburgh because I will be by that point prepping for the Titania McGrath tour, which is happening in September.
How exciting. Were you sad when it got cancelled for March?
No, because it was never, we were really, really fortunate in that it was never cancelled. It was only ever postponed. So whenever we had to put dates back, they were always replaced with new dates. So it's happened a couple of times, but we've never had to use the C word. I mean, you know.
And during the show, you probably use the C word quite a bit. But
does she? I don't think Titania does. Can I say the C word? It's my favourite word. It's not.
We're in Britain, so I guess you can. Yeah.
I feel like people who claim that word is their favourite word, it's just not true. You wouldn't say that if it really was. Do you know what I mean? I find there's something always quite ingenuine about that.
Didn't you just say that it's your?
But then you go over to their house and it's like it's embroidered on pillows, and they've got a big T-shirt that says it.
I find it kind of
like,
twee.
well, you know
That's kind of twee and gross. Just hate it. So why was I saying that? Oh yeah, because it was never cancelled.
Tanya McGrath?
Yeah, it was never cancelled. It was only ever pushed back. So that's really exciting. So so no fringes for me this year. Are you, Tara? What are your thoughts?
Oh my god, I thought it was really funny listening back to 6 months ago, because in the beginning I'm like, something about like doing a work in progress at Leicester Festival and like and now I'm just like, God, I really had high hopes. Like, that is hysterical. But anyway, I'm definitely not doing any shows this year. I don't know. I mean, do you guys know, like, they're thinking of putting Edinburgh, it's going online, isn't it? But it hasn't been announced whether there's going to be like venues and stuff, right?
I don't think anyone's decided yet.
The organizers keep sending me emails, but I never open them, so I should really do them these days.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a part of me that sort of thinks for fun it might be nice to, go up and do a couple of weeks of like a work in progress or something that's just for fun, because we're thinking about going to Australia when the borders open, and I was just like, well, I might not be able to do it for a while, so it'd be maybe worth doing. But I don't know. I don't know if I can deal with the stress. I just feel quite happy not having to think about it right now. So I think I might leave it. Matt runs the Oxford Comedy Festival. Is that any thoughts on that, Matt? Is that going ahead?
Don't know.
Okay, well, great.
I'm looking into some things. I have a meeting on Friday, potentially, about a venue, and we'll see. So I found a pretty good outdoor venue, which is not something I say lightly, because I kind of hate the concept of outdoor comedy. And so I'm having a meeting there and seeing if maybe I can move everything to that one venue. And then that way, it's a lot less stress for me, unless it rains.
Oh, great. Well, that's exciting.
You do. I'm aware that you do know that you live in Britain, right? I just want to make sure that you're aware of that.
I am aware that I live in Britain, so it is a real crapshoot. Yeah, but I do remember that the first year we ran the festival, it hadn't rained. It didn't rain, but one day the entire month of July, and which actually kind of sucked, because then it was like 100 degrees everywhere. And the one venue we had that year, that was our first year. It was basically a big conservatory, so we basically put all our shows in a greenhouse in the middle of the worst heat wave that Europe had ever experienced. People were surprisingly cool with it. So not physically cool, but
That's nice. Okay, cool. So the outlook on festivals is fairly bleak still. Alice, Are you allowed to talk about the fact that you filmed Alan Partridge, or are you not allowed to talk about that? Because we'll just cut this out.
Do you know what? I think I am. And there's a whimsical way that I've arrived at that conclusion.
Right.
So my very long-suffering agent is very kindly at the moment figuring out how best to make it public knowledge without kind of breaking any rules, because I think that it's under so many NDAs and you have to be so careful with what you say and what you don't say. So she's figuring that out, and while she's doing that very carefully and properly, I'm just going to start shooting my big fat mouth off and ruin all of her hard work. No, I think that the upshot is I can talk about it because the series has now been announced. So I'm in the new series of Alan Partridge, which is really exciting. And that happened since our podcast, I believe. Yes, it definitely did, because that also helped me become less mad. That
was another one of the things where we literally talked to you and you're just like, I never do anything. I don't get any work. And then literally I talked to you like 2 weeks later and you're like, I'm just filming Alan Partridge, and I was like, I just felt like fuck you, like I actually hate you. You are the most annoying person. Because it's just like, what What do you need that's going to make you feel accomplished? You know, like you do so much. And I'm just here being like, well, you know, I feel good because I baked some more cookies today. So that's so exciting though.
I want a badge. I want a gold star and a badge that says you are good, and then I'll be all right.
You've achieved things in your life. Well done. You can relax.
I feel like if we talk to you in like 6 months, you'd be like, I haven't done anything. And be like, oh, this behind me, those are my BAFTAs. Don't worry about that.
But they're not Academy Awards,
Just
so...
What are you doing in the Alan Partridge series?
They were like, you can't talk about the content of the episode, so I can't tell you any of that.
Okay.
God, no.
Okay.
I can't tell you what I'm doing, but I can tell you that I'm in episode 4, which is exciting.
So you can't talk about what you're doing on the show.
No.
Because then we want people to be surprised when they watch the show. We know you're there. Alan Partridge is there.
Yeah.
That's a great comedy duo. And
Hilarity ensues.
Yeah.
Tune in.
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
It's just like, yeah, that's just the elevator pitch. Just shenanigans.
Shenanigans and tomfoolery.
Oh, and tomfoolery?
Yeah.
How'd you fit both in?
It was a busy time in my life, Matthew. It was a busy time. But
Are
we
there
got
mix-ups and misunderstandings?
Oh,
And,
there certainly are.
Oh, wow.
A plenty.
That's great. What's the series called? Do you know what it's called? Or?
It's called This Time with Alan Partridge, and it
Okay.
is so it's a follow up to the first series of that same name, and I think it's great, and it was a kind of crazy thing to do just because I grew up with Alan Partridge, and Steve Coogan is kind of such a kind of familiar face, I think, to so many people in such a kind of, I don't know, in a really kind of like visceral, quite intrinsic way. So when I sort of got the job, it was a massive thing, and I was kind of so ludicrously excited about it. And then when I got onto the job and started working with him, it was amazing how it wasn't weird. Because his face was so familiar, so I was like, cool. Oh no, this is real life. This is not what. And then I had a couple of like massive, quite private, thankfully, freakouts.
But once you were on the set, you were like, oh, this asshole again. And,
You just kept going up being like, yo, Stevie, what's going on?
Yo, babe.
you poke him in the chest. You think you're better than me? You think you're better than me? Coogan, huh? What, I'm being escorted off? Well, all right.
I've learned vicariously through my sister. My sister is a TV producer and works a lot in like kind of live event stuff. So she used to do, I think she got her start doing the original series of Pop Idol. For those of you decrepit enough to remember that. But she was working with Anton Deck, and she was the first person in our family to kind of do anything like in the world of showbiz. So we all thought it was like the most exciting thing that had ever happened ever. And she got quite friendly with Anton Deck, and then I remember once she was utterly mortified because I think she thought they were better friends than they were, and she'd made a joke about Deck's or Ant's haircut. He'd had a new haircut, and she passed him in the corridor and went, "Hey, Ant or Deck, shit haircut." And he was absolutely horrified, and he was like, "Oh, really? Why? What's wrong with it? Is it not good? Oh no." And she completely had misjudged the situation. And I still, you know, when you get like bursts of shame from the past, like you're trying to go to sleep and then your brain will be like, "Sorry, remember this one really embarrassing thing you did 10 years ago?" I get that for her. Like,
Right.
I feel that still, and it didn't even happen to me.
You can't even remember who it did happen to because you're like Ant or Deck.
I mean, they're kind of the same.
Right.
So that taught me a really valuable lesson, which was like, if you think you're friends, you're not. So just shush.
That's a good lesson. That is
Yeah.
a good lesson.
Good friends. Never become friends with anybody.
No.
Or all friendships are false. Is that what we're...
It's just everything is just too risky. So just don't say anything ever,
Right.
and then you'll be fine.
Okay. Should we continue this podcast then, or?
I always think that when I'm with you, Alice, I'm always just like, okay, you're about to open up some intimate details, but just remember, you're not really friends.
So you've already done all the recording for the series? And when's it come out?
It starts on the 30th of April, so super soon.
That's my birthday.
Oh my God!
No way, Matt. Really?
Yes.
That's crazy. My mum's birthday is the 30th of April.
Oh, I was like, why is that crazy? I have a birthday.
That's just weird. It's just a coincidence. I just
Whoa, guys.
You've got a birthday too?
You were born.
Well,
What the hell? Okay.
As was Kirsten Dunst. There you go.
on April 30th.
Uh-huh.
Ah.
Gal Gadot.
Really?
Fabulous. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And guess who else are April babies? Hitler and Saddam Hussein. That's
Oh,
cute.
guys.
Hitler died on my birthday.
2 days after his birthday. Oh, he must have just been celebrating.
10 days after his birthday.
Oh yeah, 10 days. Sorry.
It says here that Lars von Trier was also born on April 30th, so maybe he fits in with that group, depending on how you view his films. I know some people...
Wait, isn't Kirsten Dunst in a bunch of Lars von Trier movies?
She totally is. Guys, what's happening right now?
This is getting spooky.
This is big.
It's crazy.
I wonder if you went down the cast list of every Lars von Trier movie, he's like, I only cast people who are that's my terrible Lars von Trier. He's like, I only cast people who were born on April 30th, and then...
Well, you've got a good chance there, Matt.
Yeah. Lars, hit me up. I will do unsimulated sex on screen.
This is a way better conspiracy theory than the ones we had in the first half. Like, I think this could be something special.
You didn't get into too many conspiracy theories, did you?
What, after the podcast?
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about maybe like dipping your toe in, and I was like, please don't, because it'll
yeah,
get
I felt inferior and that I didn't feel quite crazy enough. I was definitely the most sane person in any of the kind of stuff that I was reading, so I was like, it's not for me. I don't care to be the most sane person in the room, because that's a scary room, so I'm gonna leave.
Right. Well, that's fair. I'm glad that didn't happen.
A friend of ours recently posted in one of our groups, she said she didn't believe that we'd been to the moon, as in humans, and her reasoning ended up being, I have my reasons, which I thought was really funny. I have my reasons. Oh, okay.
Are they based on anything, or is it just...
Gonna elaborate, or are they just... It's a hunch. It's a hunch, and I feel like it's accurate.
Fishy.
Okay, I want to check that we haven't missed anything with you, Alice. So let's just go over this quickly. Existential dread, covered that.
Got that fixed.
Got that.
Alan Partridge, check that. Okay, I've got everything on here. Alice, was there anything in listening back to the previous 6 months that surprised you listening back?
Yeah, I think again, it's similar to what I was saying earlier, like how manic I was in terms of my boredom and dissatisfaction. Like that was, it was kind of creepy. So that was surprising. I think as well, if I look at the last 6 months with kind of like the catastrophic kind of explosion of COVID that happened over Christmas, like I love Christmas. Christmas is my time. So when UK Christmas was cancelled, I definitely fell off a cliff into a deep, dark pool of despair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like that was big. I felt like my kind of, the weird, like kind of white hard grip I've got on my childhood still at nearly 33 was kind of snatched away from me once and for all. So that was kind of bleak. But then I feel like as of January, it's just kind of got easier and easier, and that's been surprising. Because I think at Christmas I thought, oh, well, it's just going to be shit always. But... I feel like the mood has generally improved, which has surprised me.
That's good.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yeah.
amazing, because I normally find Christmas really nice, and then I find I plummet at about February, where I'm just like, this country is just a literal nightmare, and why would anyone ever live here? Why did people come over here? Like, I don't understand it.
And then the weather's really bad too.
Yeah, so anyway, but I'm glad that you're happy and doing well.
Yeah.
Oh no, Tara, I'm not happy. Like, please, let's get this into perspective. Like, I'm still very much miserable, but like
just happy forever.
I'm just, better.
Okay, that's all you can really hope for.
Don't get carried
Okay.
away. I mean, guys, we're all comedians. No one's happy here.
Hey, at least we have our road trip to the north coming up at some point. That's gonna make you happy.
That's
When are we
gonna be
doing
good.
that?
Oh my god, T, awkward.
So awkward. We're
Where
definitely
are we
gonna go.
Newcastle?
Where are we going? We're going to visit our dear friend Jess to see her new baby at some point when, I don't know, we're allowed to go and touch babies, because I'm not going all the way up there. It's too far to go without being to touch the baby. So
So, Alice, what's the biggest change you think you've experienced over the last 6 months, or have you had any big changes other than the mental health?
Big changes. Yeah, that's good. I think that is a good thing, and I think that's something that everybody should consider. Actually, there's an amazing scene in Peep Show where Jeremy, played by Robert Webb, is a kind of like, if you haven't seen it, he's kind of a waster wannabe musician who just kind of does nothing with his life. At one point, David Mitchell, who is his like long-suffering flatmate, pays for him to go and get therapy. And he's really resistant at first and like takes the money and has a massive curry instead. But eventually he does go and see the therapist. And afterwards he kind of comes straight from his session back to a house party that they're having, and he's like, therapy's amazing. You should have therapy. You should have therapy. He should have therapy. Everyone should have therapy. And I'm kind of a little bit like that now. I do identify with that because I'm really trying to like push the message. I'm like, everyone go and get therapy immediately because you need it because you are mad. Even if you think you're not, you are. So at the risk of being one of those people, that is definitely... What was the question?
No, that was it. That was the answer. That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, Matt, what is the next question? Because I think we've got... Do we have any left? Any more questions?
Is there anything you wish you'd known 6 months ago that you know now?
I wish I'd known that I will get work again and it's not the end of the road. Because I think I go to that place quite easily, and 6 months ago I definitely thought I was never going to work again. I wish I could go back and just say, chill out, because fun stuff's about to happen, so just relax.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then what's next for you, Alice?
What is next? Well, I am theoretically going to Paris in a month's time to study with Gaulier, the clown teacher.
So amazing. That's so cool.
Which would be really super exciting. I was supposed to go last August and then the world ended, so that didn't happen. Who knows? I think I really hope it happens. I would love to go. I think clowning is amazing. I'm kind of bad at it at the moment, which I think in clown world is actually maybe a good thing. I don't fully understand, which is why I need to go and learn more about it. So hopefully I'll be able to go if France recovers enough. At the moment it's all kind of up in the air. Actually, that is getting kind of tedious. That the whole like, oh, I don't know. Well, it depends. If maybe, who knows? Perhaps that is starting to really get on my wick. So maybe that'll happen, or maybe not. Who knows? Because that's June and July, and then going into rehearsals for the Titania McGrath tour, which is happening in September.
Ooh.
I think it is pretty much sold out, but they are talking about adding more London dates. So if you want to find information about that, you can go on my website, which is alicemarshall.co.uk.
That is so exciting. Is there anything else that you'd like to plug? What's your social media and stuff?
Oh, yeah. So I'm doing a couple more online gigs, which, again, 6 months ago I was enjoying them, and I'm still enjoying them. I still think that, there's a weird kind of... strange little niche future for online comedy. I hope, because I think it's kind of fun. So I'm doing a couple of gigs of those sort. You can find those on my Twitter, which is @AliceMarshall. It's nice and easy. And what else is happening? There's another fun thing. Yes, I'm shooting a teaser, which is also a fun thing. I've said that. It's a teaser version of the Edinburgh show that I did in 2017, which is kind of weird because I feel like Edinburgh moves so fast. If you work Edinburgh to Edinburgh, your shows are always kind of, I don't know if you guys find this, but my shows certainly are always so different, and you kind of create this brand new beast every year that kind of takes over your entire being and psyche, and you can't imagine a world when you weren't making that particular show. So to now have to go back to 2017, which feels like 500 years ago in like Edinburgh terms, is kind of weird. But it's been really fun to like revisit old stuff, and I think Tara, you've said this as well about your previous shows, like we can be quite judgmental about old work, but sometimes when you go back and you look at it objectively, you're like, oh no, that was okay. That was an okay thing that I did. So it's like getting in a weird time machine and being nice to yourself in the past. So
that's not blood, fun. Is it? Is it?
Yes.
So it is blood.
That is blood.
Oh, amazing. Oh, is that the one that I was in? The little video.
Yeah, you were.
Oh, yeah. That was such a fun show. I loved that show.
You were. Yeah.
So was that the one that you won the Brighton Comedy Award for?
Yeah.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, how exciting. So what's the teaser for? Is it potentially going to be made into like a show or something?
Well, I mean,
TV show.
That would be the kind of long-term amazing like rainbow dream goal, but I think it's just a case of like it has been a case of condensing the whole kind of hour show into like a 10-minute screen version, which has been weird and kind of infuriating at times, but also really, really fun to do. So I mean, hopefully, but it will just be a nice short film in its own right, which is
it's actually going to be like a short film,
but kind of serves as a maybe a precursor to a slightly longer thing as well.
So exciting. I love the characters in that show so much.
Good.
So that's
but
amazing.
It's kind of I'm getting the piss taken out of me a lot by everybody involved, just because I play a version of myself who starts seeing alternate versions of herself. It's kind of like a Christmas Carol, and I play everybody. So it's like write the theme tune, sing the theme tune, do the makeup, do the costumes. I do the camera and the sound, and I make the lights. So I'm having some trouble letting go of authority. But it's great because I'm working with a double, so it's nice to kind of like have someone who looks an awful lot like me following me around the place. It's just really nice. I think I might ask to work with her every day and just have her with me all the time. It's oddly comforting.
Right. To be able to look at somebody who looks just like you.
Yeah.
Just whenever you want.
Yeah, exactly. I'll say, you take this one. I don't feel like showering. You do that.
Yeah. And you can just look at her all the time and be like, God, you're so attractive. Oh, because you look like me.
Be like, it'd be weird if we kissed, but what if we kissed? No? Okay, that's not... All right, went too far. That's not your job description, sorry.
There's no such thing as too far.
Well, Alice, thanks so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure catching up with you again, and we'll keep an eye out for your Alan Partridge
Yeah, please
show.
do. I hope I've been more bearable this time.
You were very bearable the first time. That was you taking that out of context. That was
I know. I disagree. I found it quite a difficult listen. So apologies for the first half of this podcast, and you're welcome for the second half.
Yay! All right.
Pleasure.
Take care.
Bye.
Listening back, I find it so funny because I look at the bathroom still and think that looks absolutely rubbish, and I'm definitely going to fix that.
That is always the problem with doing things yourself, is that you'll always see the flaws in it. So, and then people come over and they'll be like, oh, well, you didn't. It's really nice. It's amazing. And I was like, what were you talking about? This piece is crooked. You can see a nail sticking out here. You can just see all these things. You can see the edges aren't even. And then you'll always see those things and just going to have to live with them because you're never going to fix it. So don't worry about it.
I'm definitely going to repaint that bathroom, though. I'm going to paint it white because it was just a really weird blue color. I have no idea why I did that. But anyway, regardless, that's fine. I just thought it was funny listening back because I was like, oh, yeah, I still feel like that's actually not good.
I was going to ask about that if you had come to terms with that.
Come to peace with it.
Come to peace with it.
Yeah,
don't beat yourself up about it.
Thanks, Matt. Thank you. I appreciate your support on that. The other thing was you talked briefly about your trip to Wales, which I think we might have already...
We've already discussed.
We already covered that. We've discussed that.
Cool.
And the fact you just got in there in time. You'd made a closet/desk.
Mm-hmm.
How's that going? You still loving that?
That's still where we sit where we talk every week. I'm still sitting there. It's pretty nice. I've added a ring light so that my face is nicely illuminated so everybody can see my weird complexion. And I still need to finish it. Actually, I've been doing a lot of podcasting lately and editing and stuff. And then Alice was kind of like, you should also not do podcasting to the exclusion of all the other things that you normally do. Because I haven't done any. But she was telling me like there's a lot of woodworking projects that you've kind of promised to do and you haven't. That was the subtext. Yeah. And I was like, yes, I actually had the same thought. So I actually am making a appointment with myself to do some woodworking on Friday or Saturday. I think it'll have to be Saturday because I have a meeting now on Friday. And
what's your meeting for?
I am meeting with a venue that might potentially be an outdoor venue for the comedy festival.
How exciting!
Yeah, and if it works out, I think it might be a fine venue for that. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm trying to get more back on my woodworking tip. So.
Fantastic. Well, I look forward to hearing how that goes. And I thought it was really funny listening back to how positive I was about the future, as in like thinking I'd be like doing a work in progress, that I would have done a work in progress back in like February at the Leicester Festival. It's like, whoa, that's high hopes for the future. But anyway, it's kind of inspired me to just keep being positive because like, why not, like, why not be hopeful? Like, I think that's better than just being like, well, in 6 months, I'm probably not going to be doing anything. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, as in, like, it's...
Well, first off, I don't appreciate that impression you're doing of me. That's very hurtful.
Yeah. I'm happy. I think it's like, you know what? I think it's understandable not to have done anything given that we've been in lockdown virtually the whole time since. So, and yeah, that's basically all I can remember from that. What's been going on recently with you?
Nothing. Hanging out with Tabish. He had a swimming lesson today. Tomorrow we go to a play class, which is exciting.
Oh.
So, yeah. So we have to, actually tomorrow we're going to pick up one of those bike trailers for babies that goes behind a bike that we put a baby in, We're getting a used one for a really good deal, but we have to drive for like an hour and a half south. But we're going to make a day of it and we're going to go to a park. So like a National Trust site. So that'll be fun.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
So things are going on swimmingly, baby stuff. those kinds of
Amazing.
things. But yeah, that's about all I've got going on.
I think my big thing was this week was that Sam was going to nursery, and I've been like really excited about that for ages. And he went really, really well the first and second day. So like yesterday, he was so happy. And then today, after an hour of him being there, they called me and were like, he's really, really upset, and can you come back? So I thought I was like on the home straight. I was like, this is amazing. Will and I went for coffee. We had such a lovely time. We were like, oh my gosh, we've got child-free time.
Everybody in the coffee shop's like, those people are really excited to get coffee. Wow.
And they're so in love.
Yeah.
It was really nice. But I think it is just going to be one of those things. It'll take him a little while to settle in. I thought it did seem too easy. Like yesterday when I dropped him off, he was like, bye mom, and like really happy. And then, and I was kind of like, oh God, like he doesn't even miss me at all. And in some ways, I felt almost slightly relieved to, that they did say he was upset today. Because not that I want him to be upset, but more just that it's like, oh, he does actually have some kind of maternal bond. So anyway, we'll build that confidence again next week. We'll try again. But yeah, so that's my most exciting news at the moment. But thank you so much for listening, everybody, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please do rate, review, and subscribe, and tell your friends, and tell everybody, even people you hate. Just when you're walking past, just make sure they know. If you want to follow us, you can follow us on at 6 months later pod. You can also follow me on at Tara NW Comedy. Matt, do you want to plug your socials?
I'm on M. Shadorn on the things, mostly on Instagram, where I sometimes post pictures of my adorable little baby. But more importantly, I do other actual media. I have another podcast called Say Misbehaving. There'll be a new episode that came out yesterday when you're listening to this, and it is going to be something fun, but I haven't recorded it because I'm recording it tomorrow. So yeah, so you should check that out as well, wherever you get this podcast. Saint Misbehaving. But yeah, and if you want to hear extended versions of these interviews, you can support our Patreon, patreon.com. Just search for 6 Months Later podcast, and you can get extended versions of all the episodes we've done so far, extended interviews. If you want to just make like a one-time donation, that's also cool. If you go to Ko-fi.com and search for Q.E.D Comedy Lab, you can just leave a tip there, and that would be super nice. And the links are all in the description, so you can check those out there. But thanks again, everybody. It's nice of you to listen, and we'll see you again next week
in 6 months.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Is that all right? It felt weird.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to cut all this stuff out. I don't know what I'm rambling on about.
All right. Should I cut all this part out too, where we talk about what we're cutting out? I'm going to leave this part in. And we cut. People will be like, wonder what she said. Well,